Have you ever wondered what lies beyond the veil of death? Is there an ancient truth hidden in the forgotten texts, waiting to reveal the mysteries of the afterlife? There are whispers of lost knowledge, texts so profound that they have been hidden for centuries, concealed from the public eye, and yet they hold the answers to our greatest questions about existence, consciousness, and what comes after the last breath. Imagine a text that could guide your soul beyond this world, a script that not only speaks of life after death, but offers a spiritual map to navigate the unknown. In this video, we will uncover the lost texts that describe life after death, hidden teachings from lost civilizations and ancient cultures that have long been veiled in secrecy. These texts are not merely philosophical musings, but keys to understanding our deepest fears and desires, the nature of existence, and the profound journey of the soul. But why were these texts hidden, and what could they possibly reveal that has remained so elusive to the world? The answer may shock you, for what they describe is not a simple passage of the soul, but an intricate dance between consciousness, energy, and the eternal nature of the self. From the lost scrolls of Egypt to the mystic teachings of ancient India, these writings speak of realms beyond our comprehension, of journeys that transcend time and space. As we delve into the wisdom contained within these sacred, forgotten texts, we will see that the afterlife is not a place we go to, but a journey we undergo. And perhaps, just perhaps, these teachings hold the key to understanding not only what happens when we die, but how we can live more consciously, more fully, in every moment leading up to it. So, prepare yourself. The truths we are about to explore are not for the faint of heart. They challenge the very fabric of reality, inviting us to question our perceptions of life, death, and everything in between. These lost texts speak of a world beyond the material, a space where the soul is free to evolve or become trapped in its own illusions. Join me on this profound journey as we explore the lost texts that describe life after death. What they reveal may change the way you view life itself, and by the end you may come to realize that the greatest mystery of all isn't death, but the way we live. Now, let's step into the shadowy realms of history and philosophy to uncover the origins of these lost teachings and why they've been kept from us for so long. Are you ready? The journey to understanding life after death is as ancient as humanity itself. From the tombs of Egypt to the sacred texts of India, from the mystical traditions of Tibet to the esoteric wisdom of the Greeks, civilizations have long sought to answer one profound question: what happens after we die? And hidden within their most sacred teachings are texts that describe not just the afterlife, but a comprehensive map of the soul's journey through realms beyond human understanding. In ancient Egypt, the Book of the Dead, a collection of magical spells and rituals, served as a guide for the deceased, ensuring their safe passage through the underworld and into the afterlife. But what many don't realize is that this text, often thought of as merely a guide for the dead, was also an allegory for the living. The Egyptians believed that the journey into the afterlife was not just a death event, but a continual process, one that unfolded as the soul transcended one stage of existence to the next, always evolving, always progressing. But the Book of the Dead was not the only text of its kind. There were many others, some of which have been lost to time. What do they reveal that the Book of the Dead did not? Deep within the deserts of Egypt, scholars have uncovered fragments of scrolls that describe even deeper, more intricate layers of existence beyond death. Texts that seem to have been deliberately hidden or destroyed by later rulers who feared their knowledge. These texts didn't just talk about a journey of the soul. They spoke of a cosmic blueprint, an ancient map of the soul's travels through realms of consciousness. They described not just death, but evolution through the afterlife, a theme echoed in Tibetan Buddhist teachings, where death is seen as a transition into different states of being, each stage of the bardo providing an opportunity for liberation or entrapment. In India, the ancient Vedic texts such as the Upanishads and the mystical Tibetan Book of the Dead also explored the nature of existence beyond the physical body. But these teachings were often passed down orally, carefully guarded from the uninitiated. In these sacred teachings, the soul was believed to be eternal, traveling through cycles of birth, death, and rebirth, until it finally reached liberation, or moksha. However, there were other lost texts, veiled in secrecy, that hinted at an even more complex, multi-dimensional view of the afterlife. These texts depicted death as a journey through countless realms, each a reflection of the soul's karmic imprint, leading the soul towards either ascension or reincarnation. The loss of these ancient texts is not accidental. Many scholars and esoteric traditions believe that these teachings were deliberately hidden or destroyed by powerful forces that sought to control the masses. The suppression of knowledge about the afterlife, about the true nature of existence, is said to have been a deliberate act to maintain societal control. When the Church in Europe began to rise to power in the medieval period, and later when colonial empires expanded, these ancient teachings were suppressed, often branded as heresy or pagan. But even in the face of this suppression, fragments of these lost teachings managed to survive. Some were hidden away in secret libraries, others in the remote monasteries of Tibet, Egypt, and India, and even in the mystical corners of Greece and the Middle East. Scholars and mystics, often working in the shadows, guarded these ancient manuscripts, passing them down in secret. The Hermetic texts, for example, contain hidden truths about the afterlife and the soul's journey, revealing a path that transcends not just death, but the limits of human understanding. The reason these texts were kept hidden is clear. They contain knowledge that could unravel the very fabric of reality as we know it. They describe a spiritual journey that allows the soul to transcend not only death, but also the physical limitations of the body. In them, the soul's journey is portrayed not as a linear path, but as a dynamic dance through dimensions, realities, and planes of consciousness, where each stage, whether peaceful or terrifying, serves as an opportunity for self-realization and growth. And yet, despite centuries of suppression, glimpses of these teachings have emerged. They come to us in dreams, visions, and revelations, often through mystical experiences or intense spiritual practices. There is a reason that the ancient sages and mystics referred to this knowledge as the mysteries. It is not something that can be easily understood by the rational mind. It is a living truth that reveals itself when we are ready to receive it. What these lost texts show us is that the afterlife is not merely a destination, but a process of continuous spiritual evolution. The journey of the soul after death is a profound experience, one that requires not just physical preparation, but a deep inner readiness to face our own fears, desires, and attachments. And those who understand this journey, the Buddhists, the Sufis, the Hermetics, the Egyptians, have all left behind a cryptic map, a guide to help us navigate these realms. Now that we understand the historical context, the suppression of these ancient teachings, and why they were kept hidden, it's time to delve deeper into what these texts actually reveal. How can we use them to understand our own journey through life, death, and beyond? And what secrets do they hold about the nature of existence itself? Join me as we now explore the core teachings of these lost texts, unraveling their hidden truths one layer at a time, ready to unlock the mysteries. Let's dive into the heart of these ancient, lost writings that speak of life after death, of the soul's eternal journey. To truly understand the lost texts that describe life after death, we must first grasp the nature of the soul as depicted by ancient wisdom. These teachings insist that death is not an end, but a profound transition, a journey through realms of consciousness. In fact, what these texts reveal about the afterlife may challenge everything we thought we knew about life and death. For in the ancient world, the concept of death was not feared, but revered as a doorway, a chance to shed the physical body and enter higher planes of existence. One of the most remarkable aspects of these lost texts is the idea that the soul, upon death, enters a sequence of stages or realms. In Tibetan Buddhism, these are called the bardos, transitional states that the soul passes through. In the Tibetan Book of the Dead, the soul faces visions and trials that are shaped by the person's karma, their actions, thoughts, and desires during life. But what many don't realize is that these same stages appear in various forms in other cultures' teachings too. In the lost Hermetic texts, for example, the soul undergoes a similar journey after death. These texts speak of the soul's passage through realms that are shaped not by karma, but by its ability to perceive truth. The Emerald Tablet, one of the core Hermetic writings, alludes to the soul's descent into the afterlife as an alchemical process, a refinement of consciousness. Just as lead is turned to gold in the material world, so too is the soul purified through its experiences in the afterlife. This process involves the soul confronting its shadow, its fears, and its deepest desires. The ancient Egyptians too had a sophisticated understanding of the soul's journey. The Book of the Dead speaks of the soul encountering judgment after death, when it is weighed against the feather of Maat, the goddess of truth. If the heart is light, the soul enters the afterlife, where it can enjoy eternal life in the fields of Aru. But if the heart is heavy with sin, it is devoured by Amit, the soul-eating demon. Yet, the Book of the Dead is only one layer of Egypt's teachings. Hidden texts, which were preserved in secret scrolls, reveal that the soul does not simply face judgment, but rather a profound series of spiritual trials, each offering opportunities for deeper purification. These texts all suggest a similar core principle. The journey after death is one of evolution. It's not a simple passage to a static, eternal afterlife. Rather, it's a dynamic, transformative experience. And the soul's ability to move through these stages, whether peaceful or perilous, depends on its awareness and preparedness. To explore the significance of this, we must look at the concept of consciousness in these ancient teachings. The soul is not merely an ethereal entity. It is deeply intertwined with the mind and consciousness. As the Hermetics believed, the mind and soul are reflections of the cosmos itself. What happens after death is a mirror of what happens during life. The soul's journey after death is thus not random, but is a direct reflection of its inner world, its awareness, and its spiritual development. Those who have lived with self-awareness, who have cultivated their consciousness through meditation, ritual, and introspection, are better prepared for the stages of the afterlife. This brings us to one of the most crucial aspects of these lost teachings, the role of the clear light and the visions that appear after death. In Tibetan Buddhism, the first stage after death, the Chikai Bardo, is the experience of the clear light, the luminous, radiant essence of the mind, free from the distortions of the physical body. This pure consciousness is said to be the key to liberation. Those who recognize it during their passage through the Bardo attain immediate enlightenment, bypassing the need for further reincarnation. The question is, why is the clear light so elusive? Why do so many souls fail to recognize it? The lost texts of Egypt offer a similar concept, albeit framed differently. In the Egyptian vision of the afterlife, the soul encounters a divine light, which represents the highest truth. The texts speak of a journey towards this light, but also of the soul's struggle to move towards it, often impeded by its attachments to the material world or its own ego. The Tibetan Book of the Dead speaks of a similar challenge. During the Chikai Bardo, the soul must face its own fear, attachment, and ignorance. The failure to recognize the clear light results in the soul's descent into the Chonyid Bardo, a place filled with overwhelming and distorted visions of gods, demons, and other projections of the mind. It's here, in the Chonyid Bardo, that the soul confronts the full spectrum of its consciousness. In both the Egyptian and Tibetan texts, the afterlife is seen as a stage where the soul is forced to face its most profound fears, desires, and illusions. These projections, whether angelic or monstrous, are not external entities, but rather aspects of the soul itself. They represent the inner conflicts, desires, and unresolved karmas that have been carried over from life. The Hermetic tradition also describes this process, calling it the dark night of the soul, a time of facing the shadow self before one can truly ascend. In all these teachings, the soul's journey through these stages is not one of punishment, but of revelation. These stages of death are spiritual opportunities to face the hidden parts of the self, to confront the very illusions that bind the soul to the cycle of birth and rebirth. The purpose of this process is not simply to navigate through the afterlife, but to transcend it altogether. The lost texts that describe life after death emphasize that each stage of the afterlife is not just a reflection of the soul's past actions, but a mirror of its spiritual state. Death is seen as the ultimate opportunity for transformation, a chance to shed all illusions, transcend the self, and merge with the divine. It is a process of soul evolution that requires total self-awareness and surrender. But the key to moving through these stages is not just understanding the process, it is preparation in life. These lost texts speak of practices and rituals that the ancients believed would prepare the soul for its journey. In the Hermetic tradition, this is done through the cultivation of wisdom, understanding the law of correspondence, and achieving mastery over one's mind. In Egypt, it was the practice of theurgy, a set of sacred rituals designed to align the soul with divine forces. In Tibetan Buddhism, it is meditation and mindfulness, cultivating awareness of the clear light even in life, so that the soul may recognize it upon death. The common thread between all of these ancient systems is the idea that life after death is not a predetermined fate, but a spiritual process of evolution, one that we shape and influence by the choices we make in life. The soul's passage through the afterlife, according to these lost texts, is not a mechanical process, but an art that requires mastery of the self, the mind, and the spiritual dimensions of existence. Now that we've explored the foundational principles of these lost teachings, let's continue our journey deeper into their hidden meanings, looking beyond the surface of these ancient doctrines to understand how they can help us navigate not just the afterlife, but life itself. As we dive deeper into the hidden wisdom of these ancient texts, we begin to see that the teachings on the afterlife are not just about what happens after death, but how we can live more consciously in the present. The key to navigating both life and death with awareness lies in the cultivation of the soul and the development of spiritual faculties during our earthly existence. These teachings stress that we must prepare our minds and hearts for what is to come, even while we are still alive. One of the most profound aspects of these lost texts is the notion that we carry the afterlife within us. The Egyptians, for instance, didn't see death as a singular event, but as a continuous journey that begins while we are alive. The Book of the Dead taught that in order to be prepared for the afterlife, one must live in accordance with the divine laws of the cosmos, maintaining balance, truth, and harmony in every action. Every thought, word, and deed is an investment in the future of the soul, shaping its ability to navigate the afterlife with ease. In conclusion, the lost texts of the ancient world offer us profound insights, not only into the nature of life after death, but into how we can live more consciously in the present. These teachings reveal that the afterlife is not a punishment or reward, but a continuation of the soul's evolutionary journey. Our ability to navigate this journey with awareness, grace, and wisdom depends on how we live our lives today. By cultivating mindfulness, purifying our consciousness, and aligning ourselves with divine truths, we prepare for a death that is not an end, but a transformation into higher states of being. The ancient wisdom found in these lost texts speaks to us across millennia, urging us to embrace the mystery of death, to live with awareness, and to understand that we are eternal beings, moving through cycles of life, death, and rebirth. And as we do, we must remember that each step of the journey is an opportunity for spiritual growth, a chance to transcend the limitations of the self and merge with the divine. Now that we have journeyed through the ancient texts, examining their profound wisdom and philosophical insights about the afterlife, it's time to turn our attention to the practical application of these teachings. How can we begin to integrate this knowledge into our own lives today? How can we prepare our minds and spirits for the transition between life and death, ensuring we can move through the afterlife with clarity, peace, and wisdom? The first step, as emphasized in many of these lost teachings, is mindfulness, an acute awareness of the present moment. The Egyptians, the Tibetans, and the Hermetic sages all agree that our awareness in life directly impacts our journey after death. If we live distracted and unaware, our soul will remain entangled in illusions, both in life and after death. The key, then, is to cultivate mindfulness in every aspect of our existence. This means paying attention to our thoughts, words, and actions, and asking ourselves whether they are in alignment with our highest purpose. Meditation is one of the most powerful tools for cultivating mindfulness and preparing for both life and death. In Tibetan Buddhism, practitioners meditate to train the mind to recognize the clear light, the ultimate reality, which they believe can be encountered in the moments after death. By practicing meditation, you begin to train your mind to detach from distractions and attachments, and you learn to focus on what truly matters. In this way, meditation can serve as preparation for the afterlife, helping you stay present and conscious even as you pass through the bardos. Another key practice to embrace is contemplation on death. This might sound unsettling, but both the Tibetan Buddhist tradition and the Egyptian teachings suggest that by meditating on death, we reduce fear and attachment to life. It's not about being morbid, it's about acknowledging the impermanence of all things. By regularly reflecting on the transient nature of life, you can train yourself to let go of the ego and all the material attachments that bind you to the cycle of suffering. The practice of detachment is also central to these teachings, whether you're looking at the wisdom of the Tibetan Book of the Dead or the Egyptian Book of the Dead. The common thread is the idea that attachment to the material world leads to suffering, both in life and in death. Learning to detach from the temporary and ephemeral helps prepare the soul to transcend the illusions of the afterlife. This doesn't mean renouncing life, but rather developing a healthy sense of non-attachment, where you can enjoy life fully without being enslaved by it. A practical exercise you can begin today is to regularly practice self-inquiry, the act of examining your thoughts, motivations, and desires. Ask yourself, what attachments do I hold? What fears control me? What are the deeper truths that I am avoiding? This form of self-reflection helps illuminate the unconscious patterns that influence your actions and emotions, and as you bring them to light, you begin to free yourself from the chains that bind you to this world. In doing so, you prepare yourself to face death without fear or confusion. There's also an integrative practice inspired by the Hermetic teachings, aligning your actions with the divine. In the Hermetic tradition, it's said that everything in the universe is interconnected and that the laws of the divine govern all things. By striving to live in harmony with these principles, truth, love, wisdom, and balance, you align your life with the eternal, which in turn prepares you for the timeless realms that await you after death. Simple practices like living with compassion, seeking truth in all things, and cultivating wisdom each day will allow your soul to evolve as you move through both life and death. Rituals, too, play a significant role in preparing for the afterlife. The Egyptians performed daily rituals to honor the divine and the deceased, not only to aid the souls of the departed, but to connect with higher spiritual forces themselves. In our modern lives, we can perform simple personal rituals to honor the spiritual journey. Light a candle, offer prayers, or sit in silence with gratitude for life's impermanence. These practices serve as reminders that we are not separate from the divine, and they cultivate a deeper connection to our spiritual path. Lastly, it's crucial to remember that love is a central theme in the esoteric teachings surrounding death. Whether it's the ancient wisdom of Egypt, Tibet, or Hermeticism, love is seen as the force that binds all life together. The Book of the Dead speaks of the judgment after death, where the soul is weighed on the scales of Ma'at, truth. But the guiding principle is not merely the absence of sin, it's the presence of love. In this context, love becomes the ultimate practice. Loving others, loving yourself, and embracing the divine love that exists within all things. As Ram Dass once said, when you die, there is only one question that matters. How much did you love? Embracing death with love and a sense of peace is one of the most profound ways to prepare for the afterlife. By practicing love and compassion, you begin to dissolve the barriers that keep you from recognizing the divine light within and around you. The more we live from this space of love, the more we carry that vibration with us as we pass through death, enabling us to experience a seamless transition into the realms of the afterlife. We've explored some of the deepest and most mysterious teachings on life and death, delving into the lost texts that offer a roadmap for navigating the journey that awaits every soul. From the Egyptian Book of the Dead to the Tibetan Bardo Thodol and beyond, the message is clear. Death is not an end, but a continuation of the soul's journey, and our actions in life directly influence our experience of the afterlife. By living with mindfulness, practicing meditation, and aligning ourselves with the divine, we can begin to prepare for a peaceful, conscious transition into the afterlife. Detachment, love, and self-inquiry help us to liberate ourselves from the illusions of this world and step into the eternal realms with clarity and grace. Now, I leave you with a question to reflect on. Are you living your life in a way that will guide your soul to peace and liberation when your time comes? The lost teachings of the ancients invite us to explore this mystery, to live consciously, and to prepare ourselves for the final journey. The path is long, but each step we take in awareness brings us closer to the light. If this exploration into the mysteries of life and death resonated with you, share this video, subscribe, and join the conversation in the comments below. What insights have you gained, and how can you begin to integrate these teachings into your life? Let's continue this journey together as we uncover the greatest mysteries of existence.